Also, sorry about my background. I know it's like really messy. I just had like a really lazy day, even though I've had school, and I just literally wrote an essay, but it was like the easiest essay ever because like reflections are always easy. But this video is gonna be like just me talking. Sorry, my lamp is getting annoying. What? Just me talking about like my previous job and like giving like experience, like if you want to do something like what I did. And just like my experience with like having a first real job, because I did have like a previous job before that, but I wouldn't really consider it a job because I literally only worked 2 days and I like ended up quitting. But I'll talk about that too in this video because it was very brief. It wouldn't be long enough to be a video or anything, but still was a job nonetheless. Like I still went to work, had to clock in, whatever, for like 2 days, I know, but it wouldn't really be considered like a first job, or I wouldn't consider it a first job. So my actual first job was a dietary aide at an assisted living facility, and the only reason I worked there was because my mom worked there, and like it was really easy for me to get in and get the job. Well, I mean, I didn't really like write a resume or anything, or like have a cover letter, or I didn't really have to like fill out an application on Indeed or anything, or like just call the place up and be like, oh my god, I want this job. Like since my mom was so like loved there, I guess, and like everyone appreciated her, like all the workers, the residents, like everything, it was really easy for me to get the job. And the kitchen like manager like loved my mom, like literally everyone loved my mom, and so it was really easy for me to get the job. So I did. Once I had like a little chat with the boss or whatever, it wasn't even like a real like interview but it was just like a little chat, and then I got the job. But anyways, the job I had before that was a what are they called? It's like at a grocery store, the one who scans like all your food and stuff, your groceries, the one who works the register. That was like my little first job, I guess. It's not even, I wouldn't even consider it a first job because like what was it, like 2 days I worked and then I quit. But I have valid reasons why I quit. Okay, so that was my first job, and like I was so nervous because like obviously it was going to be my first job if I would have stayed with it, and it doesn't pay very well, obviously, as a lot of you may know. Like working at a grocery store, you probably won't make that much unless like Walmart, you make like a lot of money. But this was just like a little local like grocery store in my like the town across from me, so I literally drove like what, 10 minutes 15 minutes to work every day. The same with the dietary aid job. But yeah, and so like my experience with that job was crap. Like first of all, you have like a bunch of like young teens working, and which is fine, like I have nothing against that, but like when you're not really doing your job to how you're supposed to be doing it, it can get like really like annoying. And you know how there's that rule where you're like, don't be on your phone, yada yada. That's for like any job, unless you have like a really chill boss, like who would, you know? And like everyone would be on their phone. Like this was my first job, and I was trying to put my best foot forward, you know? Like I was trying to be the best that I could be. I didn't want to get fired, I didn't want to get yelled at, I didn't want anyone to think I was doing the wrong thing. And I would always see people on their phones, like all the workers would be on their phones, and like I don't know, it just made me really uncomfortable because first of all, I wasn't even trained properly. I go into work, right, and I'm like, it's like time for me to start my shift, right? And let's just say it's like 3 o'clock when I have to start my shift. I come in, it's like 2:55, and I'm like looking around for like a worker, and grocery stores for me are like really intimidating. At least this one was, because it was so small. Like literally if you came in wearing like, first of all, I didn't even have a uniform yet. But if you come into like a small little like your place of work, like everyone knows you, okay? And it's not like a huge place like Walmart where you can just walk in and not everyone's looking at you or staring at you. But I just felt really intimidated because it was so small, and like I felt like everyone was looking at me like I was the new kid. But I mean that's how it was. But I come in, it's like 2:55, and I'm supposed to start at 3. By the way, I'm making up all these times because I don't even remember. This happened like probably a year ago, and it's like so irrelevant right now. But I come in and I like asked like an older lady, and there are some like older people who work there, there's not just like young teens or whatever, but I asked like an old lady that works there, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to start my shift, you know who's supposed to train me? And they're like, nope. I'm like, great, this is gonna start out wonderfully. So like I'm going in thinking like, oh yeah, someone's here to train me, this is all gonna go good, and it totally went the opposite. Like they didn't have anyone to train me at all. It was just like, are you serious? Like I'm a new person. It's literally my second day of like working or whatever, and they had no one to train me, so I was put in like the office, and the office is like a separate like register where you have to do like lottery tickets, you give like cigarettes and like all that type of stuff away. You just do a lot more than you would like if you had your own aisle and a register. And so I was thrown into there thinking like, bro, I don't even know what I'm doing. And this one lady like next to me was just like helping me, and like the register in that like section, like the office or whatever, is like completely different from a register in an aisle. Like you're doing the same like buttons that you click for like everything on a register, but it's like in different locations on the like the pad, the keypad. So I knew what I had to do, kind of. I mean, it was my second day. I like knew what I had to do, but like I didn't know where the button were, and like obviously this was not what I was supposed to be trained to do. I was not supposed to be trained to be working in the office. I was supposed to be trained like a normal cashier register. Like, oh my god, it was just like chaos, and like I don't know, it just wasn't what I expected. And maybe it was because like a bunch of teens were working there, and I don't know if a teen was supposed to be training me. But the first day I did work there, I did have like a somewhat good experience, but like the second day it was just not good. Like I was having to do like all this stuff under pressure that I did not know what I was supposed to do. Like I was supposed to do lottery tickets. Let me tell you that lottery tickets are so difficult to learn to do. I know they're gonna be easy once you know what you're doing, but it's just so hard. And like I'm suck at counting money, so that took me forever to do. Like I was the slowest person when counting money, and then someone had to pay with a check, and that is so different. Like, oh my gosh. And then when someone buys like cigarettes, you have to like ask for their birthday, and people say their birthday in such extravagant ways. I'm like, what does that mean? Like I just have to figure out, like obviously if someone says 96, it's 1996, but since I was like so nervous and I'm a shy person, it took me like a minute to figure it out. So it just wasn't like something I like wanted to do. So I ended up quitting. Like I called the boss or manager or whatever, and I said, yeah, I just can't come in, like this is just not the job for me, thank you for the opportunity, whatever, blah blah blah, you know, all the sweet words, whatever, to leave nicely on a good note. But actually I did have an incident that like really shocked me, and please no one ever do this at your job. Like just do what you know is right and don't break any rules. You know, if you're working in a place of public, like you don't want to be doing the wrong thing because everyone is watching you, especially in a grocery store. You have all those people, you know, everyone is watching you. But I was working like in a register in an aisle, and the girl next to me was like on her phone, like literally on her phone. And everyone tells me like there's only like a couple of days of the week. Why did I repeat that? Oh my god. There's only a couple days out of the week that the manager or the boss would come in and like walk around, just make sure everyone's doing what they need to be doing. And like everyone would tell me, oh, don't be on your phone when he's here, you know, you're gonna get in trouble, you're gonna get caught, which obviously is a red flag. Like you shouldn't be telling me that, because obviously I know that. And that just to me seems like you're gonna do it when he's not here, which is, yeah, a red flag and like something you don't want to do. Please don't do that, okay? Unless you're allowed to, which I don't know many jobs where you're allowed to be on your phone while you're working. So just don't do it. Even if you know you can get away with it, don't be that person, or you know, don't do it. But anyways, I was working in aisle. This was a day when he wasn't here, of course, and the girl next to me was on her phone, and there was like a young couple, well, not young, I think they were like elderly couple, but they were like, they had a huge cart of groceries and they were in her aisle and she was on her phone, and they were waiting because I don't know what they thought. Maybe they thought that she had to do something like important or something, which obviously she didn't. And they were waiting, and I looked at them, and you know, and I'm shy, and I don't say like, if it's my second day, I really don't put myself out there. Like I didn't say, oh, come over here, you guys can come over here, I'll check you out. I didn't say anything. I just stood there because I'm very shy and extremely nervous, and yeah. And so they walk over to me, and you know what they tell me? They're like, oh, I'm just gonna come to you because she's on her phone. And that just like blew my mind. Like how embarrassing would that be if someone said that to me? So anyways, I just knew that this wasn't the place for me. Like I just seen like a bunch of red flags, and just, I don't know, just working with like in the public makes me very nervous. And I know like I shouldn't think that way, because like a lot of jobs you're working with the public, but like my dietary aid was more of like seeing the same faces every day and having a list of stuff knowing what I had to do and doing it. Whereas like a cash register, there are so many different like scenarios that could go down. Someone could pay with a check, which is like completely different. Card is different, cash is different. You have to count money. It's just like a lot. Oh, and fruit, you have to know like the numbers of fruit and like bananas and stuff and like type it in, and it's just like a lot to remember, and I just don't think it's for me. So that was like my first job, but not even a job. But anyways, now let's get into my actual first job, which was a dietary aide at an assisted living facility, which is where my mom worked. And eventually my sister did the same job as me, but we obviously stopped working there because we moved, as you guys know from my channel, my content. But basically a dietary aide is someone who like serves food to like residents. I don't know if there's any other places where you could be a dietary aide. I don't know if it's just like in assisted living facilities, if that's the only place that you can be one, but it's basically someone who like serves food, preps food, cleans tables. So kind of like a waitress in a way, but not really, you know what I mean? Because like you already know what they're going to be fed, because they have the residents have menus that they fill out the day before, so that you know what to give them. So kind of in a way it's like a waitress, but not really, in the sense where you have to like ask them what they want. So my tasks were like really easy. The only hard thing about like being a dietary aide is like remembering where everyone sits, because there are assigned like tables and seats, and like people sit where they sit. So that was really hard, and this was like a huge facility. This had like maybe 50-60 residents, and it was like a lot to memorize, like all the names and stuff. And of course I was nervous, but like I wasn't that nervous. Like obviously your first day of your job is gonna be like nerve-wracking, because you don't want to mess up. You want to do everything the best that you can, you know. Yeah, I'm just always nervous for jobs. Anyway, so I had to like, first of all, I had to memorize like all the people's names. So I had like seating charts written out on paper, and it would show who sat where, you know, and it was 2 to a table because due to COVID. I started this job when COVID was really heavy, and of course if you're working with like elderly and like the older generation, which COVID affects the most, we had to wear like all those special masks. At one point we had to wear gowns because we always went on red zone. So I would always have to like serve on their floors, and this had like 3 floors, so I would have to go up on an elevator with my cart of food and like serve them on their floors. But my tasks were to like serve food, of course, serve drinks, clean tables, prep food. I made sandwiches, I made salads. It was a very fun, like interesting job because there was cooking involved, but I wasn't really cooking. I was more like prepping. Well, I wasn't even prepping. I was like making like sandwiches and salads. That's like the easiest thing to make, you know. Like how do you mess that up? I would make egg salad sandwiches, ham and cheese sandwiches. I would make salads of all sorts of different kinds. I would dish up desserts. Ice cream was a huge one. That was so difficult because like the thing, you have like these giant ice cream things, and like they would be so frozen of ice cream, and like scooping them out just like broke my wrist. But I'm being dramatic. But I would dish out fruit. Sometimes we had like extravagant desserts, and I would dish those out. We had like pudding, sometimes we had cookies, brownies, you know, just everything of the sort. And I only ever worked like a 3 to 7 shift. That was like my shift, so that was mostly for like dinner time. I never worked a breakfast or a lunch shift. So lunch is like their biggest meal, at least in that facility it was, and breakfast is pretty light, and then dinner is pretty light. So I never really had like huge plates of food that I had to deliver, but I did have to deliver like plates of food and stuff. And for drinks, I had like, you know, like the machine that had like the different juices, and then I had to pour milk. One girl needed lactate, is that what it's called, for like dairy products and stuff, so I had to get her little like thing of lactate so she can pour it in her milk or whatever. Oh, I was also running around like when they were coming down before like supper started, but like it was close to starting time, you know. I would also be going around and be like, oh, would you like hot coffee or hot tea? I would serve that. It was just like a really fun job, and like a lot of the residents like loved me, and they like literally like I bet you they cried. At least the one girl, I bet you she felt like really sad when I left, especially when my mom left, because she was like a caretaker, so she was like fully with the residents 24/7, I guess you could say. Like that was her job, being with them. Mine was more of like just seeing them at dinner time. But yeah, it was a really fun job. Like if you want to be a dietary aide, I definitely think you should. If you love being around like elderly, it's really fun making the different foods. And then I would obviously have to clean. I would have to clean up the tables, clean up the dishes. That always took forever, like, oh my gosh. But yeah, overall I'd had like a very positive like job experience there. There would only be like a couple of times where I had like a red flag moment, or I would see red flag moments. Of course there's gonna be drama in every job that you do, and I did see some drama. There was actually a girl that quit, or I don't know if she quit. Did she quit or did she get fired? I don't know. She worked Dietary Aid, and I only worked with her a couple of times. I'm not gonna say names or anything because I don't want to put anyone out there, like I don't want to give anyone a bad reputation. And she obviously, like, no one really talked to me except this one like older lady that worked with me that was also like just starting when I was starting. But this girl like that quit, she like rarely ever showed up to work. Like she actually missed her shift. Like she was supposed to come and never showed up, so she wasn't really a reliable worker. I'm sure she's a lot better now. I'm sure she's learned like what not to do and what to do, but that was just like a big red flag. Like you don't ever just want to not show up to work, you know. Also there would be like, every job has like, you have to do this, you have to do this correctly, this is how it needs to be done, don't do it this way, do it this way to how your boss wants you to do it. And in the kitchen, like if you're doing something for so long, obviously it's gonna get like repetitive, and like you're gonna feel like, oh, this is like, I have to do this every day, the same thing. Like that's how my job was. It was like doing the same thing every day. Like it feels like you're a robot. And like some of the workers would like cut corners and like do stuff like half how it was supposed to be done, like cleaning tables. Like you need to properly clean the tables, and because of COVID you had to clean the chairs too, like the armrests, the back of the chairs, like everything. And you also had to vacuum. Do not forget vacuuming. Like that was something I forgot a lot, but I always did everything 100% because, you know, I don't want to get in trouble with my boss, you know, why would you? But there was a lot of like cutting corners in my job, and the one worker that I worked with would always say like, oh, do it this way, this is the way you need to do it, don't worry about how it's supposed to be done. Like that would just irk me a lot, because then I would have another worker that I was working with tell me, no, this is how you're supposed to do it. But I'm hearing people say two different things. Like what am I supposed to be doing? What do I know is right if I've just started working, you know? That was like one of the biggest red flags. Like I would have two different people telling me two different things how to do something. Like it's just like, I know there's supposed to be one certain way you're supposed to do this, so like why are we doing it this way, why are we doing this way? Like I ended up talking to my boss about like all these incidents and like whatnots, but yeah, that was like the biggest red flag. But overall I love that job. Like if I did not move to Tennessee, I'm pretty sure I would still be working at that facility because I loved all the residents. They were so cute and adorable. I'm not gonna say the company name or anything because I'm sure they don't want like their business out on YouTube or anything, but they do have a Facebook. So if you've ever worked with me and you're watching my channel, I loved working with you regardless of any problems we've ever had. Like I'm a person who, like, if I have beef with you at work, I just don't show my emotions or show that it bothers me, and I forget about it the next day. Like, because it's a job. Like it's different where it's school and it's like petty stuff and like I'll hold a grudge, but if it's work, I'm an adult, you're an adult, you know, I don't want drama, I don't want problems, so we'll just leave it when we clock in. But it was overall a very, very fun job. I loved making all the different kinds of foods. We had soup a lot, so I learned a lot of how to make different types of soups. I think one soup was called minestrone soup, if that's how it's pronounced. I learned how to make salads. I learned how to properly cut vegetables, and like, you know, there's a bunch of stuff that I thought I knew how to do properly because, you know, I'm in my own house, I'm obviously cooking for myself, and it turns out I did not know how to cut certain things, or I was doing it wrong, or I was using the wrong knives and stuff. So I've actually learned a lot about like cooking in that aspect. But now I'm doing a completely opposite job. I am actually, my new job is a housekeeper at a hospital, so I'm very excited to start that job. I don't know when I'm supposed to start yet because I got my drug test done and I got my vaccine. Okay, I never thought this day would come where I'd actually be saying I got vaccinated, but I did because I had to. And my family's like, oh, I would never get vaccinated. I don't care if it's a job or it's my dream job or whatever, the money, whatever. I would never get vaccinated. And I guess money is like a big thing for me. So I got vaccinated, yeah, and it sucked. I was sick for like 2 days and I hated it. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, being sick. It's like having the flu times 1,000. Like, it's just horrible. And I have to get my second dose when I'm back in PA visiting my boyfriend, because we're going on a vacation, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna film that yet because I want to kind of live in the moment. But like, I kind of had an idea because I bought like a bunch of outfits, a bunch of like new outfits and dresses and stuff, and just like a bunch of new clothes. And I was thinking like a fun video would be like my boyfriend rating my outfits. You know, I'm late to that challenge too. But yeah, a dietary aid is something to do if you're passionate in like cooking, serving others, people. If you're a people person, I would definitely take this job into consideration if it's something that you would like to do. But yeah, just keep in mind, if you're working with like people in a how do I word this, like, keep in consideration if you're working with elderly, and like, it's not a healthcare job necessarily. I don't even know what kind of job it's like categorized at, you know what I mean? But you will have to wear a mask, I'm sure of it. Oh, I also had to get like COVID like tests every week, and those sucked so much. The thing where they put the Q-tip up your nose and you do COVID test. I had to get that like every week. I hated it. It sucked. Oh my god, I'm so glad I don't have to get those anymore. Tennessee is way more relaxed about COVID and stuff. I will still have to wear a mask to my housekeeping job, but I plan on making like a video like this for my housekeeping job once I've worked for like a year, so I get like the most experience that I can get. But I definitely want to do like a first day, like say what I thought about it for like a first day or like a first week. Obviously I can't vlog it. Like, I don't get how these people on YouTube are like vlogging their jobs. Like, I could never have my phone when I'm working. Like, I don't get how I could like record myself working. It just, no, I could not have my phone. I could not have a camera. Like, how are they doing this? But yeah, being a dietary aide is like very rewarding because you're serving others, you're making people happy, you know. You build a lot of great connections, and I love that job. That's like my favorite job, and I know it's my only job, but can I say it's my favorite job? Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Because I'm saying it. But yeah, and I was really sad to move away because obviously it is scary starting a new job, and this housekeeping job I found on Indeed, and my family has not worked here before, so I don't have that like leverage, you know. I'm going in on my own. I had a real interview this time. Well, I mean, it wasn't really like a formal interview, I guess you could say. It was just like a one-on-one like conversation, like, why do you want the job? This is the things that you're going to have to do, the pay, this, the hours, everything. And yeah, I'm just really glad to start my job because it is nice to get some money, you know. Isn't that why we all do jobs, take jobs, you know? We need money. But yeah, if you guys like these types of videos, like sit down videos, I will gladly do more of them. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.